people have these big, noble ideas about what their calling is, but Anastasia now has salons in Nordstrom and salons with a business with Sephora. When the Oscars or the Emmys or the Grammys occur in Los Angeles, she has 2 different shops. Women, all these celebrities are lined up around the corner just to get plucked by Anastasia. And it started with her brother's beard. So, to be able to take what you love, to find what you love, to find that thing that lights you up, and to be able to do it in such a way that you can serve, there's a thread that runs through and connects that life experience. That is what James Hillman calls the acorn within the oak. This is what I know for sure, that whatever your calling or your purpose, your charge is to share it. You just can't pop your zits. You just got to share it. No one here is here to have a purpose that only concerns you. And that is why the key is, the absolute key to how you can fulfill your passion and honor your calling is that you have to share in service to others. Nothing works unless you share. Nothing. Your life gets validated through your service to other people. One of my favorite quotes from Dr. Martin Luther King is, "Not everybody can be famous, but everybody can be great because greatness is determined by service." We live in a world where people think they want to be famous. I've been, quote, famous for so long that it's just one of those things I just take for granted, but I also understand that there is no difference. The only difference between being famous and not is people know your name when you're famous. That's all. But everything else is the same. Proof is, you go to the bathroom. I do. Go to the bathroom. Only number 1's in public, though. I'd gone to a public bathroom. This is when I knew I was famous. I'd gone to a public bathroom and I didn't want anybody else to hear me peeing. Now, men don't have this. Y'all just go in and I just, Sometimes you think there's a horse in there. But we women have a thing, you're in the stall, there are other people in the stall, and so I thought at the time you could take the toilet paper and fold it in the seat, in there, in the water. Then if you get enough of it, not flat, roll it up, throw it in, then you pee in the center of that. It doesn't make a lot of noise. So I'm doing that, I'm rolling it off and I'm doing it all, and then I hear somebody say, "Oprah, what you doing in there?" So then, I know y'all have tried this too. You start singing a little song. And then you flush fast and pee hard. We know, isn't that the common bond we all share? And so I finish and you go out, and by that time you can see the little feet gathering at the stall, and there are these women, like by now it's like 4 of them outside, they're all waiting for me to come out. This is when I knew I was famous. I opened the stall door and they applauded. Damn, that is something, wow. But this is what I learned, that no matter how famous you are, unless you're willing to be and be used by service, none of it really matters. It becomes very shallow. I had to shift my paradigm to service before the Oprah show took off. And that came when I was doing a show with skinheads. It's amazing how everything in life is there to teach you about your life. And I was doing this show with the skinheads, because for some reason I thought I was going to change their mind about black people. And I noticed during a commercial break them giving signals to each other. And I thought in that moment that I am not doing anything to serve the purpose that I thought I was. I thought I was bringing a sense of information and people would understand why they were so angry and so forth. And years later, when I had them on the show during the 25th season, they said to me they actually used that tape to recruit other skinheads and members of the Ku Klux Klan. So I was right. Something said to me, you're not doing what you think you're doing here, because I was watching them signal each other, and I could see that for them, they were using the platform for their benefit. I thought I was using it for me, and I made a decision in that moment. I will not be used for something that I do not believe is a force for good. That was a big moment. Another moment, I had, remember those days? I think they still do, like Jerry Springer. Is he still on? Yeah, I think they still do this kind of thing, but we were doing, at the time, confrontational television. And I had a woman on and her husband on. We were talking about affairs. And the producers were so excited that they were able to get the woman to have her the husband to have his mistress on with his wife. Now, why anybody would want to do that, I do not know. But we were live, and on live television, the husband tells his wife on live television that his mistress was pregnant. Yes, and I was a witness to it. Not only was a witness to it, I felt like I had created that moment. I didn't know he was going to say it. It was a surprise to us. But in that moment, I said to my producers afterwards, I will get out of television. I will go into PR. I don't know how I'm going to survive in television if I continue to do that. I will not do that. I will not use my platform to belittle or demean other people. Now, so there were two major shows that happened one right after the other, right within a couple of weeks of each other. You know, it seems like they were completely two different points of view or points of life, because you're talking a husband and wife and marriage and then the skinheads but it was all the same, because I decided if you're not being used for a service that is of a purpose that you intended, then what you're doing ultimately is not going to be to our advantage. Oh, could we get ratings from it? Yes. But I didn't want to live with just ratings. So understanding what your purpose is, what your role is in contributing to the macro, you being a part of the micro, is so important. Your mini contribution to the macro matters. And we make up the body of humanity. All of us do. We do. And I believe, as Pierre Teilhard de Chardin said, that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. In God, I move and I breathe and I have my being. That is how I made the long cross-country trek, cross-cultural, cross-generational boundaries from Mississippi to Ottawa here tonight. Because think about this. You become what you believe. All the time, what shows up for you is what you believe. I had a wonderful experience this morning in the restaurant at the Brook Street. My waiter, Sherry. Sherry, are you here? So Sherry says to me, Sherry, the waitress, she comes over and she's like, oh, I just want an omelet, calm down. And she says to me, Sherry says to me, I prayed last night that I would be able to have some kind of contact with you. I prayed last night that I would be able to see you. She said, they asked me in the hotel to make the baskets for you. I don't know, Sherry, you put that chocolate in there, that was the devil. So she said, they asked me last night to make the baskets, and I had said to God I would just be happy with that. And then I prayed that maybe I'd have more contact. And I was trying to come, but I couldn't, and I have the tickets. And I go, I have 2 tickets right here. You want to come? Come on, girl. Jerry. Just that prayer. The truth is, and she and I then had this sort of testimony. I'll say, it works for little things. It works for tickets. And it works for the bigger things in your life, if you truly believe. So all the folks fanning themselves in the Buffalo Methodist Church there used to tell my grandmother, ooh, Hattie Mae, this here is the talkingest child we ever did see. Someday she gonna be, that's my grandmother, someday she gonna be a teacher or something. And I believed them. Do you hear me? Because at the time in Mississippi, what people believed was possible for a young colored girl growing up to be Negro, Afro-American, Black, African-American. My grandmother did not even believe. She used to say to me, Oprah Gail, I sure hope you grow up and get yourself some good white folks. Like the Leonards. She worked for the Leonards her whole life. She said, the Leonard's so good to me. Sometimes Miss Leonard give me a dress and she ain't worn it but a couple of times. Sometimes she give me fresh meat. Bring home. I hope you go up and get yourself some good white folks like the Leonards. And I regret that she did not live to see that I did grow up and get some really good white folks. Something bigger and greater calling in my life. Look at where you are in your life right now, and then examine what it is you really believe. What do you believe about what it means to be a woman? What it means to be a single woman? What it means to be a divorced woman? What it means to be 5'4", 4'11", 5'10", beliefs about being black, short, tall, blonde, not being married by a certain age. If I believed that a woman could only go so far, I would not be where I am. I believed that there was a power greater than myself, and that if I could figure out a way to tap into that power, then I could also be powerful. Because I know that your beliefs are the lenses through which you see the world. Whatever follows I am, Pastor Joel Osteen said recently, comes looking for you. And life isn't happening to you, it is actually happening for you. All the things, all the lessons which God would have us learn, all things are lessons that God would have us learn. Because you are co-creating your life. When you figure this out, this is the big one, if I could just leave you with this. Nothing is happening willy-nilly happenstance to you. When you figure this out, do unto others as others you would have them do unto you. Now, everybody's heard that, right? Canada. I wondered if that made it all the way up here. Y'all are like, no, Oprah, what is that? That is more than true. That's just not some little rhetoric, simple poem thing. Actually, in The Color Purple, anybody see that ever? Miss Seeley says it in The Color Purple. Remember Seeley says it in The Color Purple? She says it. Roll tape, Seeley.
Everything you've done to me, already done to you.
Oh, I love that one. That's a great done. It's everything you try to do is already done to you, because the energy that you start to create when you try to get back at somebody, or when you try to have, you don't have to worry about revenge or settling scores, because everything that anybody ever does is already done to them. And my mantra, my creed, the foundation of all of my religious belief is this. The third law of motion. Y'all remember that one? Physics. Third law of motion says, for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. This is how I rule my life. And if you leave here with nothing else but to understand that that principle is happening all the time, particularly if you think of yourself and know yourself to be a field of energy. We're all just energy. And the energy that you're putting out is the energy that is coming back. Now, when I was younger and would hear do unto others, I would think, well, I don't care. She talked about me, so I don't care if I talk about her. Don't really matter. Because I don't want to be her friend, no way. But that's not the way it works. It's not that person. It's the energy that you're putting out that's going to come back to you. It's the energy. So don't think that when you're thinking negative, destructive thoughts, that's not creating its own little, like, pigpen circle. Remember when Pigpen used to go around and draw the blanket around? It creates its own little cloud of dust, all of that negativity. And when you open your heart space, and you let the light in, and whatever you do comes from the intention space of only wanting to do that with love, that is what comes back to you. Broken down, that means that every action, every thought, every feeling is motivated by what Gary Zukov calls an intention in his book, Seed of the Soul. This changed my life, reading this book, about 1989. And he says if you participate in the cause of a thing, you can't help but participate in the effect. What's going to come back always is what you intended. That's why when somebody is having an argument with you, or somebody apologizes to you and their intention isn't really to resolve the argument, what you feel is the intention. You don't feel the words. So intention equals cause and effect. There are multiple forces at work here in this universe. The broader infinite ones, and our own many words, many of which we have no control, but we do have absolute power and control in our own energy field. You are, among other things, as I said, an energy field. If you don't know that, then you operate your life kind of willy-nilly, like not knowing that you are in control of your energy field. Glinda the Good Witch knew it in The Wizard of Oz, which is another one of my favorite spiritual teachings, when she says, "Go away, you have no power here," to the Wicked Witch of the West. She was saying you only have power in your own field of energy. That's the lesson from The Wizard of Oz. And so many people, particularly women, spend our lives messing in other people's fields, where you have no control. You have no control in anybody's energy field but your own. When somebody, and you have to know that. See, I do the Oprah show all those years, so I know that. So when Stedman came home late after playing golf one day, and I had spent the whole day trying to prepare dinner for him, and gone out, thought I was Martha Stewart, and like actually went to a butcher, and picking the vegetables from the garden, all that, and I'm making, it's my love meal. I call it my love meal. And he is out with the golf balls. And this doesn't make no sense to me. The street lights are on. It's dark. You cannot see the ball. What are you doing? Anyway, so he comes home, and you know that thing, I know this has happened to all of you. First you're fine. You're like, okay, so it's 10 minutes. Okay, only 10. Okay, 15 minutes. 20 minutes, or something that happens at 30 minutes, is it not?